families of Dom and Davion. I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much.
Because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other, with credit for time served.
The judge looked directly at her and said the words that would define the rest of her life. You will serve 15 years to life in prison. And I will tell you right now, there is a very good likelihood that you will never get out. Mackenzie Shirilla stood there, just 19 years old, her face pale, her eyes finally losing that cold, blank stare she had worn through the entire trial. For the first time, something cracked. Her lip trembled. Her hands, cuffed in front of her, began to shake. The family of the 2 boys she murdered sat just feet away. They had waited months for this moment. They had listened to her lawyers claim she blacked out, that she had a medical condition, that she would never intentionally hurt anyone. And now the judge had thrown all of that aside. 15 years before she could even ask for parole. But the judge made sure everyone understood what that really meant. Likelihood she never gets out. A 19-year-old girl, locked away until she is at least 34, and quite possibly forever. Her mother sobbed in the gallery. Her father sat motionless, staring at the floor. But the victims' families did not move. They just watched. They had waited for justice, and now it had arrived. This is Crime X. And if you have been watching our videos without subscribing, I need you to hear me clearly. Our last video got over 100 views and 0 new subscribers. That hurts. That tells me you are watching, you are interested, but you are not clicking that button. Please, right now, hit subscribe. It is free. It takes 2 seconds. And it is the only way this channel grows. I promise you, this Mackenzie Shirilla case is one of the most disturbing trials I have ever covered, and you do not want to miss a single detail. So subscribe to Crime X. Now let us go back to the night that destroyed 4 families forever. July 31st, 2022. Strongsville, Ohio. Just before dawn. A Toyota Camry tears through a quiet industrial park. Inside are 3 young people. Behind the wheel, 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla. Beside her, her boyfriend of 4 years, 20-year-old Dominic Russo. In the back, their friend 19-year-old Davion Flanagan. They had been together that night, as they often were. But something was different. Something was about to go horribly wrong. Surveillance footage from a nearby business shows the Camry turning onto a straight stretch of road. For a moment, it seems normal. Then the car rockets forward. It hits nearly 100 miles per hour. No brakes. No swerve. No attempt to avoid what is coming. The car slams into a concrete and brick wall. The engine rips free from the chassis. Metal and glass explode across the pavement. Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan are killed instantly. Mackenzie Shirilla survives. She is pulled from the twisted wreckage, alive but badly injured. At first, everyone called it a tragedy. A young driver, maybe tired, maybe speeding, a terrible accident. But then the black box told a different story. And the prosecutors realized they were not looking at a crash. They were looking at a double murder. Here is what the black box revealed. In the seconds before impact, the gas pedal was pressed to 100%. Not once. Not for a split second. For more than 10 consecutive seconds. 10 seconds of full acceleration. No braking. No steering. No attempt to avoid the wall. The car reached nearly 100 miles per hour before impact. The defense would later argue that maybe she blacked out. Maybe a medical condition caused her to lose consciousness. But the data told a different story. A driver who has blacked out does not keep the steering wheel straight. A driver who has passed out does not accelerate in a controlled manner down a straight road. The judge would later describe what she saw on that surveillance footage. She said Mackenzie Shirilla morphed from a responsible driver into literal hell on wheels. This is Crime X, and if you are still watching without subscribing, I am going to ask you one more time. Hit that subscribe button right now. Our last video had over 100 views and 0 subscribers. That is not how we grow as a channel. You are watching because you love true crime, and I am delivering these cases for you. So please take 2 seconds, hit subscribe, and help Crime X reach more people who want to hear stories like this one. Do it now. Let us get back to the courtroom. The trial took place in August 2023, a bench trial with no jury. Mackenzie Shirilla had waived her right to a jury, leaving her fate in the hands of Cuyahoga County Judge Nancy Margaret Russo. The prosecution built their case on 3 pillars: the black box data, the surveillance video, and the history of threats. Assistant Prosecutor Tim Troop told the court that just 2 weeks before the crash, Dominic Russo had called his mother in a panic. Shirilla was driving erratically and dangerously, and Russo was scared. During that same period, witnesses heard Shirilla threaten to crash the car. "I am going to wreck this car right now," she allegedly screamed during one argument. Then came the day of reckoning. On August 14, 2023, Judge Russo delivered her verdict. She found Shirilla guilty on all 12 charges: 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, and additional charges for drug possession and criminal tools. The judge did not mince words.
So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other, with credit for time served.
She said her actions were controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder. She had a mission, and she executed it with precision. The mission was death. That is what the judge said about a 19-year-old girl. 1 week later, on August 21, 2023, Shirilla returned to court for sentencing. The victims' families spoke first. They described the pain of losing 2 young men. Dominic Russo, just 20 years old. Davion Flanagan, only 19. Gone forever because a teenage girl decided to turn her car into a weapon. Then Shirilla spoke. She stood before the court, sobbing, and read a statement. "I am so deeply sorry," she said. "I hope one day you can see how I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I am heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. Dom was my soulmate." The family sat in silence. They had heard her deny responsibility throughout the trial. And here she was again, apologizing without admitting guilt. Then Judge Russo handed down the sentence: 15 years to life in prison. But she did not stop there. She looked at Shirilla and said these words: "I am sparing you consecutive sentences in the 2 deaths. But I do not believe you will get parole in 15 years. There is a very good likelihood you could spend the rest of your life in prison." That was the moment. The moment the courtroom fell silent. The moment Shirilla realized that her denials had not worked. That the judge saw through every excuse. That the black box had told the truth. She was led away in handcuffs, her mother sobbing in the gallery, her father staring at the floor. The families of Dominic and Davion watched in silence. Justice had been served. But the story was not over. Because Shirilla refused to accept her fate. She would spend the next several years fighting to overturn her conviction. And her legal battle would take a shocking turn. That is coming up next. But before we continue, I need to ask you again. If you have not subscribed to Crime X, please do it right now. We are building a community of true crime fans who want the full story, without the fluff. I am giving you every detail of this case, and I promise you, the appeals process is going to blow your mind. So hit subscribe. Hit the like button if you want more content like this. And let us get back to the fight for freedom. After her conviction, Shirilla and her legal team filed a direct appeal in September 2023. They argued there was not enough evidence to support the verdict. They claimed multiple clerical errors during the trial. The 8th District Court of Appeals reviewed the case. And in September 2024, they upheld the conviction. No errors. No insufficient evidence. The conviction stood. The families of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan have been through hell. They sat in that courtroom and listened to a teenager deny responsibility while their sons lay in the ground. They watched as she filed appeal after appeal, grasping at any excuse to avoid accountability. And now, they watch as Netflix turns their tragedy into entertainment. But through it all, the evidence has never changed. The black box data is undeniable. The surveillance footage is clear. And the judge's words remain the final word on the matter. Mackenzie Shirilla had a mission, and she executed it with precision. The mission was death. That was the verdict. That is the truth. And no documentary, no appeal, no new medical excuse will ever change that. She will sit in that cell. And Dominic and Davion will never come back. But even with the appeals exhausted and the Netflix documentary now streaming, questions still linger. What really happened inside that car? Did Shirilla intend to kill only Dominic, with Davion simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was it blind rage that took both lives? The prosecution argued that Davion was just cargo. The judge seemed to agree. But Shirilla has never admitted intent. And unless she confesses one day, we may never know the full truth of what was going through her mind in those final seconds before impact. This is Crime X, and we are almost at the end of this story. The lives of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan ended that night in Strongsville. But for their families, the pain keeps renewing with each headline, each appeal, each new documentary. As Dominic's mother, Christine, told the court, no one wanted this to be a murder, but this was not a car accident. Dominic's parents remembered him that day not as a victim, but as a young man full of promise. They said Shirilla was someone who would be interested in demeaning people and humiliating them.
I'm Christine Russo. I'm Dominic's mother. No one wanted this to be a murder or to punish Mackenzie Shirilla for this accident. But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. There's no fix put in this case, as the Shirillas would like to proclaim. I want to thank Strongsville Police Department and the state of Ohio for seeking the truth behind this crash. Thanks to them, we all know what happened in that car that day. What we don't know is why. I wish I could change this every day. I lost 3 children in that crash. Not a minute goes by each day that I don't think about my son, as well as Davion. My heart is forever broken. The cries heard from the Shirilla family and friends after the verdict are nothing more than a lack of remorse. Mackenzie Shirilla had a choice. Dom and Davion did not. We are all left here to mourn. But what Dominic and Davion lost can never be remedied in any way or by any particular sentence. On July 31st, 2022, I called Mackenzie's mother, hysterical with the loss of my son and Davion. I knew Mackenzie was in the hospital, and the first statement said to me was, "Oh, please don't listen to what everyone's saying on Facebook." Yeah, my son is dead, his friend is dead, and I'm checking on yours. Yet social media is what's important. Social media has made a game out of the life of Mackenzie and is making a game out of this heart-wrenching tragedy. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
And in the Netflix documentary The Crash, released May 15th, 2026, Shirilla spoke from prison for the first time. She insisted the crash was not intentional and questioned how she could have murdered her own boyfriend. But actions speak louder than recorded prison calls. While she spoke, her father, Steve Shirilla, was placed on administrative leave from his job as a school teacher after participating in the documentary. Today, the legal avenues are exhausted. In October 2024, her post-conviction relief petition was rejected because it was filed just one day late, a procedural miss that closed the door on that challenge. Her direct appeal to the 8th District Court of Appeals was denied in September 2024. And in April 2025, the Supreme Court of Ohio declined to review her case. These were not close calls. The appeals court previously noted that she showed deliberate and specific intent to kill. The judge's original words still echo. This was not reckless driving. This was murder. And as the law stands, Mackenzie Shirilla, now 21 years old, remains incarcerated at the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville, Ohio. Ohio prison records show she will not be eligible for parole until 2037. This is Crime X, and we are at the end of the road for this case. But we're just getting started as a channel. Our last video had over 100 views and 0 subscribers. 0. That is a gut punch. You are watching all the way to the end, which means you care about the details. But if everyone watched without subscribing, Crime X will never grow. Right now, please hit that subscribe button. It is free, it takes 2 seconds, and it is the only way YouTube knows to share these stories with more true crime fans. Do it now. And while you are down there, drop a comment. Do you think Mackenzie Shirilla will ever be released in 2037? Or will the judge's warning that she may likely spend the rest of her life in prison prove true? Let me know, because the black box told the truth. The surveillance footage did not lie. And 2 families are still waiting for peace that may never come. This has been Crime X. I will see you in the next case.